Okay, call to order. Okay, pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Flag's
to
that
the
way. It's
flag.
actually
Here we go.
yeah.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
of the
States of
United States of
America and to
America,
the
the
republic
republic
for
for
which it
which it
stands,
stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
with
liberty
liberty and
and
justice for all.
justice for all. Okay, thank you. Alba, roll call, please.
Councilmember Yaffe,
Here.
Councilmember Tricoche
Here.
is joining us virtually. Councilmember Salver is joining us virtually.
Here.
Councilmember Reed,
Here.
Councilmember Leonard,
Here.
Vice Mayor Fuller,
Here.
Mayor Bruder.
Here,
You have a quorum.
thank you. Okay. Let's go first to request withdrawal, deferment, or future agenda items.
Can we have everybody mute except for the person who's speaking? That might help with the feedback issue that we're having.
Yeah, unfortunately, Elizabeth, I don't think that's going to be possible the way we're set up. Some of us are on the telephone to the car here. It's going to be difficult touching the
Okay,
or with
any withdrawals?
6B, yay. I have a couple of changes I need to speak with Alba about. Bring it back to the future meeting.
So 6B, what else?
And 6J.
Okay, anybody else have any withdrawals, deferments, or future agenda items?
Yes,
Yes, Bob.
I'd like to revisit the license agreements that we have with the restaurants on Ken
Okay.
Concord. Take a look at that at the next council meeting.
Okay, Alba, did you hear that?
Yes, a discussion item on the, you're talking about the outdoor seating, Bob?
Yes,
Okay.
the license agreements.
Okay. Josh, do you have anything else? Kelly? No. And I want to pull
He
number
will.
7.
Let him in then.
Okay, I just want to pull out from the consent agenda number 7. Okay. So town managers report.
Good evening, everybody. Just wanted to let you know real quick, we haven't had some changes at Town Hall. We've hired a deputy clerk, but Alba will talk more about that during the clerk report. We have an ad right now for human resource manager. We have a new finance director who's here who just started. And we have Raul Diaz, who's our chief. He's here also at this meeting today. And I just want to let you know we promoted Janice Rosado to our assistant manager position. The other thing I wanted to mention is on Friday, Council Member Isaac Salvar was able to arrange for a meeting with Children's Trust at the community center to review possible programming ideas for Bay Harbor's youngest citizens. So we will be touring our community center and seeing how we could possibly utilize it to expand our programming. And that's it. Any questions for me?
Okay. Town attorney report, please.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Thank you. The first item has to do with as you know, the FAA changed their flight patterns that impacts the town. We filed a petition appealing the decision of the FAA, which did that change. I'd like if Mr. Fuller has a matter with regard to hiring a lobbyist. So if you'd like to turn your attention to Mr. Fuller on that item, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. First of all, I'll start by well, Happy New Year to everyone out there. But one of the things we discussed last year was the fact that while we were successful in getting the FAA plans with regard to arrival IA from going over Bay Harbor Island, they did change in the middle of the COVID time period, and under a little bit of a cloak, they changed their departure flight patterns. So they now directly affect since we started this meeting a few minutes ago, I've already counted 3 planes directly over us, or at least that we're hearing. The flights are incredibly loud, and it is a significant. So one of the things, obviously, we filed with the 11th Circuit along with multiple other cities. The other municipalities are going to push their way. We're going to push ours. We're going to hopefully work together. And I know Frank will explain the fact that there are upcoming meetings along those lines. But I think we need to take a two-pronged approach. I'd like to make sure that we also potentially engage a lobbyist, and it is on an emergency basis, because we're trying to hit it now rather than go through a time period where it's 6 months later. So on that idea, what I'm looking for is a consensus that we can budget for up to $75,000 at this point for a lobbyist, that I would work with the town manager as well.
Thank you.
We would interview and engage and start working on lobbying to try and protect the town.
So let me ask you something. I guess both of you. The other municipalities around us are also planning and petitioning. Would it behoove us to join forces with and have one lobbyist speak for the area as opposed to just us?
We would be open to it. The problem is, we can't guarantee this. We've had some problems already with regard to Surfside and Indian Creek, working with us. They were.
I just need to know that.
So now we filed for them, so they're consolidated, but it's not been an open arms invitation by our request that they work with us. So
I
we
don't
have a problem where we invite them and have an issue
Or
that
with a cube
because
that I
of
can
that
just-
delay with a further harm. I'd like to be able to preempt that problem and see what we can do. Now, it doesn't mean our lobbies won't work in coordination with their lobbyists, but I think we have to look forward to Bay Harbor.
So are you at this time planning to next month bring a request, or are you asking us now?
No, we can do it now.
Can
If
we?
we,
Okay.
no, we'll just do it now.
Allow for it now. It would come out of reserves. It's not something that's already done. So the concept here is that we would have to take a look at it. We're not going to be out, and because this is an emergency basis, I'll speak with Frank and everything along those lines. I don't believe that we need to go full bid, because that would take too long, because really at this point, we need to lobby more so than just ourselves. I know, Bob and I lobbied in the past, but we need a professional
Okay.
lobbyist at federal level. I
So-
don't know that we're going to engage someone. I would like that ability to do so, and I wanted to get the consensus.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Just
So make a motion.
Mayor,
Yeah.
if I may just,
Wait. Okay, Frank.
yes, if I may, just for the record, so that we're clear, under section 2-1.2 exemptions and waivers from competitive bidding, A2 allows for contracts for professional services without competitive bidding. So if you authorize the monies today, we're able to hire a lobbyist without going through the competitive bidding process.
Okay,
I'll
thank you,
second
Frank.
it.
You seconded
second
it?
Yeah.
Discussion? Anybody?
Stephanie,
Yes?
okay, you can hear me okay, right?
Yes, absolutely, Isaac.
Okay, I really understood about 30% of what Josh said, because the audio element of the broadcast is pretty poor. But I heard the matter of getting together with surrounding communities in order to get more bang for our lobbying buck. So that being said, I would support perhaps teaming up with folks in Keystone Point and Sans Souci, because I see them on Nextdoor. They're very, very vocal against these flight patterns. And I would also suggest that maybe we team up, if they're interested, with Surfside and Bal Harbor. And I would strongly suggest we do not team up with Miami Beach. Avoid teaming up with Miami Beach, because their interest, I think, is in direct conflict with ours, because prior to the flight path being changed to us, it might have been south of us through the middle of Miami Beach, or north of us through Oneida State Park. Those are my comments, but I do support getting a lobbyist for this very.
So, okay, one second. Josh, is Bal Harbor petitioning?
Let me,
Yeah.
I hope you heard the 30% that's important. So here's what I wanted to tell you, is that this is the issue, is that we are more than willing to work with the other municipalities, obviously others.
You need to get your phone closer to you so that he can hear you clearly.
Okay. We are
There.
happy to work with other municipalities.
No, it's getting worse.
other
I'm
than
sorry.
Miami Beach.
Here,
There's a
Why
lot
don't
of
you come
echo.
here?
You need to mute. You need
Hold
to
on,
mute
I'll
your.
tell you what I'm gonna do. Hold on, because we're getting feedback. I'm gonna walk
Yes.
backwards.
You sure? I was gonna give you my.
Yes. Yes.
I think this one's a little bit better. Hold on.
I think
A little bit better?
if people
That's
wear
better.
headphones and then mute when they're not talking,
Okay.
that'll help.
Okay, let me explain what's going on. Miami Beach
I was
had,
gonna let him sit here and do his.
okay, can you hear me? Okay. First of all, Isaac, can you hear me? Isaac?
Say yes, Isaac.
Yes, much better.
Oh.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. Sorry, I'm muted.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, I'm walked into the middle of the park here so you can hear me, so I just want to make sure. Okay, the problem is, yes, it looks like Miami Beach's lobbying is the very reason why we have this issue. They did do their own lobbying and they pushed it during the middle of COVID. Now, the problem we have is that we are more than open to working with, Keystone, obviously, as you know, is not a municipality. It's part of North Miami. We are more than happy to work with North Miami, and we are talking with them quite often, actually, and trying to see on the legal department. Bal Harbour decided for their own reasons, and we can only speculate, and I'm not going to do that on tonight, but they decided not to file in the 11th Circuit and in any way fight the FAA. Surfside did. We approached Surfside. Surfside is working with Indian Creek, and their counsel has no interest so far in working with us. They will once it's consolidated for legal purposes, but at this point, the lobbying efforts and everything else, we have been essentially refused from anything by Surfside and Indian Creek. What the authorization tonight would do would allow us to go ahead and hire a lobbyist, interview them first. If we get participation from Surfside, if we get Bal Harbour that wants to get involved, anybody else, we're more than willing to talk to them and see what we can do together. But we can't force those municipalities to work with us.
Isaac, any other question?
No, I just want to say thanks, Josh. I know that this is a lot, this is a lot of work and a lot of hard work, and we really appreciate what you're doing, and I 100% support it.
And
Thank
Bob too.
And
Yes.
Bob too. Yeah, I can, right, there's Bob. Okay.
Okay, anybody else have any other questions? We have a second. We're gonna do a poll vote, but before that, Alba, is there anybody?
We do have a couple of people with their hands up. I'm
Okay,
gonna go ahead and Mr. Geller, Joseph Geller.
Mr. Geller, you have to unmute yourself.
Yes.
Trying. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes, we
please
can.
state your name and address for the record.
Okay, I'm Joseph Geller, 200 East Broward Boulevard, Suite 1800, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm with Greenspoon Martyr LLP. Can you guys see me? Because I can't see myself here.
So you're there as an attendee, so you can go ahead and
Okay,
speak.
well, I'm here. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else, Alba?
You don't want to speak on the matter, Mr. Geller?
Keller, you want to speak?
Okay, now? I mean, it's on your agenda for later, but I'm happy.
Did you want to
speak.
speak on this particular item, or did you want to speak under public comment?
I want to speak on, well, I would do whatever the town wants. I mean, I had assumed it would be on the item, but I'm happy to speak.
No, then
briefly.
okay, so
No, no.
then wait. Mr. Geller, you need to wait for the item to be approached, and at that time, you're more than welcome to speak on the item, whatever item number it is.
No, I
It's
think
on-
it's-
Did you want to speak on this particular item, Mr. Geller?
I want to speak on item 22, and my assumption was that you would call me when we got to the item.
Yes.
Oh, no, this is
You
item
had-
one.
This is item number 1, so we will call you then. Make sure you just raise your hand and we'll do, okay?
Okay,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody
Okay,
else,
we
Alba?
have, yes, we do. We have Kathleen Kennedy.
Ms. Kennedy, please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, Kathleen Kennedy, 9180 West Bay Harbor Drive, Unit 5B. First of all, Happy New Year to all of you and wish you all good health. Josh, Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm on Nextdoor every day, as all of you are probably reading, as I just heard from a couple of council people. And Bell Harbor has no interest in FAA. Keystone does, where I have a house there with my daughter, North Miami, and the surrounding areas. Josh, I agree. Excuse me, Josh, I agree that we hire a lobbyist. Okay, we don't need Bal Harbor, who doesn't care about us. Surfside, some people do.
Mayor, please mute your mic.
Excuse me?
Stephanie, please mute your mic.
Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead, Miss Kennedy.
Thank you, Alba. Bell Harbor has not one word about the FAA. So leave these guys out. Surfside a little bit, but Keystone, North Miami, and most of all, our citizens. And thank you, Josh, for taking this on. My congrats to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alba, anybody else?
We don't have any further comments.
Okay, can we take a poll vote, please?
Sure. Councilmember Yaffe?
4.
Councilmember Tricoche?
4.
Councilmember Salver?
4.
Councilmember Reed?
4.
Councilmember Leonard?
4.
Vice Mayor Fuller?
4.
Mayor Bruder?
4.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Moving on to item 2 on the town attorney's report. Madam Mayor, we filed an amicus brief in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals requesting a rehearing on the Otto versus City of Boca Raton case, which decision held that the ordinances that banning conversion therapy are unenforceable. I know that Councilperson Leonard was instrumental in that, and I believe he'd like to speak as to this issue.
Thank you, Frank. I just want to say thank you to all my colleagues for supporting this, and I'd like to move it so that way we can just have a vote in place that we supported that. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
Aye.
thanks, Isaac.
Passes.
Okay, moving on to the third item of our report. We received, as you recall, in March of last year, we had received a demand letter for counsel for Mr. Barry Smith, who has a $4.1 million judgment against Craig Sherman. They had demanded certain monies that they claimed were his, that Mr. Sherman held and then distributed to us. They've renewed that demand in the amount of $900,000 after having some of his trust records claiming that monies were depleted, then deposited, then distributed to us. Their legal theory for the lawyers out there is a conversion theory, which is a very tough theory given the fact that we never held or possessed the funds, and therefore it's very hard to convert funds for which you're not in possession of. Moreover, our transactions were for legitimate consideration paid, whereas Craig apparently or allegedly sold him a bill of goods, and therefore the public policy certainly favors the town. So we'll be responding to that again. If anybody has any questions with anything on my report, just one additional item, Madam Mayor, I'd respectfully request that the town council chooses an attorney prior to the end of March, if at all possible, and start that process. We are doing a few acquisitions. I'm either going to have to hire additional persons for the acquisitions that we're doing. If I can, pleasure of remaining as the town attorney, and if not, I will free up obviously time for me to handle some of those corporations that we're about to acquire at the end of the first quarter of this year. So if that is at all possible, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Okay. Alba, anybody? Public comment?
We do have Kathleen Kennedy.
Okay. Ms. Kennedy,
Ms.
state your
Kennedy?
name and address for the record.
Absolutely. Kathleen Kennedy, 19180 West Fair Harbor Drive. Where is the $4 million? Can somebody answer that? And who was involved in it?
So the lawsuit alleges that Craig Sherman essentially defrauded Mr. Smith of $4.1 million. Mr. Smith has a judgment against Craig Sherman and his law firm. I don't know where those monies are. That's the whole point of them chasing him now. They're in what's called proceeding supplementary, insofar as they've obtained a lot of discovery as to his financial assets, where the monies were, where they went, and the like. I don't know because I'm not privy to that. I haven't been privy to that since almost 10 years now. And Mr. Smith is chasing Craig's assets. So I think Mr. Smith would love to know the answer to your question, because if he were, he wouldn't be barking at the town for monies.
Can I respond?
You have a minute. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Was the $4 million, was this TDR monies?
No, not at all. There's no monies. There's, as you know, TDRs have to be approved by the town council and the like. I think he sold Mr. Smith, based upon the allegations of the complaint, a bill of goods based upon alleged TDR investments, which, as we all know, who've attended these meetings and seen how TDRs, swap hands, that's not an investment at all. That's a fiction. And so we're defending that vigorously on behalf of the town.
What is this costing the town?
Well, as you know, I'm on a flat rate, and also for all litigation of cases that have case numbers, which I'm entitled to bill for, I have reserved billing. So since probably about a year, or close thereto, since the Cohen and Graham matter, I've waived tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees so far that I'm accruing but have not billed the town for.
Thank you, Simone.
Thank you. Okay. Town clerk report. Alba.
Yes, Mayor, the item number 4 is a report on the business district coronavirus assessment. This item is actually brought up at the last meeting, and the council directed staff to do an assessment. We sent out the notifications to all the businesses via regular mail, through social media, and via also a text blast. The results of the survey, it's before you, and pretty much the percentages. There were only 26 responses to this survey. And the last questions, number 12 and 13, pretty much provide individual feedback from the people that participated in the survey. Mayor, I can't hear you. Is there any comments?
Sorry. Council report. Jordan.
Thank you. First of all, Happy New Year to everyone, and hope everyone wish everyone a happy.
I'm on
Sorry. No. I wish everyone a happy and a healthy new year in 2021. I briefly, just one item is in consultation with the Ethics Commission and also with our town manager and our town clerk and our town attorney. I would like to bring up at a future meeting a revisit of an ethics ordinance similar to what I proposed back in 2014. It was 7 years ago this month that I proposed it. I would like to bring it back with some changes, and it won't be the actual ordinance. Will be roughly what I would be proposing, but it's something I feel important, especially after last year. I think it's important that we actually have an ethics ordinance on the books in our town. So just FYI that I'll be doing that in the near future.
Thank you. Elizabeth.
I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you, everyone, for the staff for your work on putting this meeting together for our fellow council members. We are going to be having another evening with Elizabeth. If you missed the one with Jason Pizzo, our first one that we did, it is available online. The next one will be the 27th at 7 o'clock, and our town manager, Maria, will be joining, as well as our new police chief, and we'll be talking about Bay Harbor Island. So it's the 27th at 7 p.m.
Suspicious behavior and access. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Happy New Year to everyone, and looking forward to a better 2021 than 2020. A few things. I want to thank the staff for the great job they did on the local Bay Harbor Islands COVID testing. And I want to also let everyone know that they can thank Sally Heyman's office, our district commissioner, and also our county mayor, Daniela Levine Cava. A few of us had gone over to the testing site at Hallover, which was difficult to find. We had to pay for parking. And I made one phone call to Commissioner Heyman's staff, and within a day they were contacting our administration and setting up a very productive by appointment session. I know a lot of people are very happy about that, and we hope to have more. And I'm hoping maybe even in the future there may be some vaccinations available more locally here. And thank you to the manager. She's been really on top of it and very eager to have that. I'm glad our town attorney mentioned that item, because I was wondering myself when we were going to revisit that. So I'm hoping that means that on the next agenda, February, that we'll be looking at selecting a town attorney. And also, oh, I lost that thought. So I'll come up with it later. Thank you.
Yes, hi. First of all, I want to wish everybody a happy new year as well. I kind of miss being with people, but I can tell you it ain't so bad, doing this meeting from the comfort of my living room. I want to thank the town manager both for these wonderful reports that we're getting every week. Maria, they're awesome. And, I think so far you're doing a great job. And I want to touch upon one of the things that you had mentioned during your report was the Children's Trust visit. And before I talk briefly about it, I want to thank Stephanie for reminding me that, the town does have underutilized assets, our community center, which we built, a beautiful community center. I guess as with a combination of COVID, the effects of COVID shutdown and things like that, it's been underutilized. And I think I was able to speak to some key administrative figures at the Children's Trust, offering the town as a site for existing programs. And, they said that there might be some possibilities there. So they're sending a little exploratory group to look at, what assets that we have available in anticipation of possibly launching some new programming for our youngest citizens after school is over. So, thanks, Maria. Thanks, Stephanie, for for reminding us. And, that's pretty much it. I know that we're a little bit behind schedule, so I just want to welcome everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. I'd like to welcome our new police chief and finance director and congratulate Denise on her promotion and welcome other new staff members. I'm pleased with the direction that the town is taking at this current time. As one of the directors of the Miami-Dade County League of Cities throughout this whole pandemic, I've been attending a lot of Zoom meetings, getting updated on the status of the testing and hospitalizations and so forth. And at yesterday's meeting, yesterday afternoon, the league adopted a resolution to urge Governor DeSantis to expand the scope of vaccinations at this time, particularly to amend his current executive order to include all school teachers and other school-based personnel, who of course are very important to all of us, and it's very important that the teachers have the opportunity, as well as other school personnel, to get vaccinated. So hopefully Governor DeSantis will act on that resolution that we adopted, and our teachers will be able to move into that phase 1 of vaccinations. Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to pretty much echo a lot of what Bob said and congratulate the new finance director, and Janice. It's great to have such great staff, and we're very proud of all of you, and we welcome you with open arms. Happy and healthy New Year to everyone, and I don't want to delay this any further because I know we are trying to move this along.
I also want to wish everybody Happy New Year, but I do have a couple things to go over. First of all, we have a new restaurant in town. It's took over where Asia Bay was, and it's delicious. And so if you haven't gone there, you should definitely try it. It's called Kinoko. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we have some new programs for teenagers that are coming up in the community center. We have basketball and jiu-jitsu for kids that are 14 to 17 years old.
We just lost Stephanie on the feed.
Yes. Josh, you're on
Josh,
mute.
you're muted.
I'm just.
Hi guys. Wait, they have a mentoring program in February for our residents, and they have a yoga and Tai Chi in the park that will also begin with social distancing. And we have different programs. We have the concert series coming up. So please look into our website for these events, and please come out. Everything will be COVID correct. Thank you.
Clear there. Okay, well, while Stephanie's getting hooked back up over here, okay, we are on public comments. Abba? Abba, you're on mute.
Sorry, Ms. Kathleen Kennedy wishes to speak. Please state your full name and address for the record.
Thank you, Alba. My name is Kathleen Kennedy, 92180 West Bay Harbor Drive. Finally, the League of Cities is doing something for our children of Bay Harbor Islands. I would like to thank Maria, our city manager, and Mayor Stephanie Bruder for finally doing something for the community center of Bay Harbor Islands. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Linda, I'm not sure if this is Linda Zilver.
I'm sure that's Linda Zilver.
If you could state your full name and address, please.
Former Mayor Linda Zilber, 1231 95th Street, Bay Harbor Islands. I'd like to wish everybody a Happy New Year and welcome all of the people that have joined our staff. I I would like to say that in about a week, we're picking the date. We are going to meet the Parks and Rec. It is very important. It has been pointed out to us. We have nothing anywhere for handicapped children. And I think it's time that we put something in our parks and perhaps in our community center for handicapped children. Thank you.
How about anyone else?
Yes, give me just a second.
Sure.
Stacy Lurie.
Hello, Stacy Lurie. Excuse me, Stacy Lurie, 9271 West Bay Harbor Drive. I'm a condominium owner, and I have a question for the council about homeowner permits. I can't seem to get a full answer regarding this situation. And I've come to understand that there's a difference between condominium owners in Bay Harbor and homeowners in Bay Harbor, meaning East and West Island, on the kind of permit that you're able to pull. So I'm hoping that somebody can clarify why there would be a difference in one ownership from another. That would be the first question. And because I pay my property taxes, I pay my insurance, and I paid for my property. So I'm not really clear as to why there would be a difference in what kind of permit I'm allowed to pull in the town of Bay Harbor. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that I'm still having a lot of problems getting information and having any anonymity with the building department. And I've called about this, and I will call again this week about that. So that's not an answer that I'm looking for tonight, but I would really like to know where there's a difference between a homeowner and a homeowner. Thank you.
Ms. Lurie, can you be more specific about the type of work that you're trying to do on your property?
Change a door.
Nothing.
Is this a front door?
For the same, and in the building code, it's the same. So at first I was told that I needed to get a fire door. And then after researching the code further, I was told, no, that's, well, not even told, I read it and was told that that would be considered. So in other words, if you have a property, you're not changing more than a certain amount of something or other. I don't know. You can change something for the same. Okay. That's the bottom line. And so I have been trying to find out exactly what this involves. You know, it seems to me this is kind of a handyman's job, right? So if I have to pull a permit, I would like to know what kind of permit I would have to pull. And if I can pull the permit as a homeowner's permit and change the door because it has 2 hinges and a lock, I would like to know why I couldn't do that and a homeowner on the West Island could. So maybe I can get an answer about that. Yes, thank you. I see.
Frank?
Yeah, so ma'am, the only difference might be, and I don't have enough facts to really opine in any way, shape, or form, but generally in condominium associations, doors, windows are usually common elements and require permission from the condo association to make any alterations to those common elements or limited common elements as they were. So perhaps it requires permission from your condo association, but other than that, permits are permits are permits. That's the only extra layer in a condo association.
Stacy, could we have the manager contact you tomorrow morning and at least talk to you with the building official and maybe just help get this clarified? I'm sure the manager can help you navigate the building department, personally if she calls you tomorrow, or hopefully she can get that squared away with you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'll be happy to call, and I'll call you tomorrow with the building official, okay?
Okay.
That would be great because I have been trying to get this I've been trying to get an answer to this question and I haven't been able to do so. And I appreciate the condominium association that I would need their approval, but that isn't part of the problem at the
All right.
moment. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thanks.
bringing it.
Thank you for letting us know.
Alba, is there anyone else?
Yes, Mrs. Newhut.
Hi, my name is Frances Newhut at 1060 King Concourse. Okay, how was this multi-millionaire tax-exempt church able to pay year 2020 zero taxes on all 3 parcels of land and without applying for unity of title, possibly to bankrupting town? Based on available public records, CBS Realty Holding LLC, who's managing church by purchase 6/1/2016 the Ocean Cadillac property, 2 parcels for 20 million, after selling property it owned adjacent to the Bal Harbor shops for 40 million. Importantly, an important part was with our town planner and DRC and their strict compliance with town codes, approving this mega mixed-use church comprised of retail and religious usages. 1, therefore, why had council eliminate section 23-5 8.1 at the urgency of a Bal Harbor license, our First Amendment rights of approving religious institution, land or structures without a public hearing before council? 2, also, there were all these tax-exempt church ancillary and incidental uses, 168-seat dining hall with large kitchen, a 386-seat sanctuary and secondary chapel, school and meetings for persons who are addicted to drugs and alcohol, granted approval showing their floor area for ancillary usages far greater than their retail uses along King Concourse, possibly diminishing available parking supply. 3, although Bal Harbor Village and Bay Harbor government signed the same resolution against the BBS movement, it was allegedly decided upon with Bal Harbor Shops expansion to relocate this tax-exempt church to Bay Harbor Island. 4, the Bal Bay Town Planner, DRC, and the Planning Zoning Board approved 7/16/26 this multi-millionaire tax-exempt church mixed-use development at the developer's presentation with renderings of taxable businesses and a primary business sign on the ground level adjoining King Concourse. 5, 9/4/2019, there was tree removal permit approval for 1,952 square feet of canopy removal. 11/25/2019, executive order was expired and they did not submit construction plans. 1/7/2020, demolition permit issued for existing car dealership, did not demolish all existing parking areas and asphalt. 1/11/2021, house from church, police report. 1/12/2021, reported gay and why was this recognized prior to demolition possible release of toxic acids, hydrogen sulfide, along with possible methane into our community. And 10, besides council removing public hearings for religious institutions, this multi-millionaire tax-exempt church posted and admitted contamination and requesting council public hearings approving them for funding for the Florida's Brownfield Redevelopment Act. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Newhut. We're gonna move on to Mrs. Kennedy.
And very quickly, because that was a long one. Hello, my name is Kathleen Kennedy, 9180 West Bay Harbor Drive. To the lady who just talked about the permits, I don't think you are going to have any more issues because we have a city manager who is very, very fair, who will respond to your problems. And I would suggest that you contact the city manager if you are having disconnect with the buildings department, which I think does a good job, by the way. And also, we have a council person who handles most of all the condominium associations in Bay Harbor, who right now
Okay.
I have an issue with and will be filing a complaint about a certain issue. So with that said, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
That is all the public comment, Josh.
Now that we're past public comment, we've got the committee reports and the consideration.
Maria, do you want to read the item number 5?
Sorry. Consideration approval of a request for appointment for the Parks and Recreation and Sustainability and Resiliency Committees.
So I've tabulated the ballots that with regards to the residents that put in for appointment. And for the Sustainability and Resiliency Committee, we're going to have Tamia Soto, Greg Sim, Everton Diaz, and Megan Blennett. And for the Parks and Recreation, it'll be Lauren Raddick.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda, except 6B and J were deferred, and number 7 was comment.
I'll move the consent agenda with the exception of 6B, 6J, and 7.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And
Anybody opposed? Just want to make sure I get the vote.
Abba,
Consensus.
yeah, but can you get Steph to report her vote, please?
Stephanie? Wait, that. Yeah.
Everyone out having some audio problems.
She's joining. I'm sorry. We're having some technical difficulties.
Stephanie, you're muted.
Stephanie, we're for your vote on the agenda.
Wait. Okay. Thank you. So I on the consent agenda, we have the hours for the meetings. And
wait, Mayor, let me just say, we just got a motion and a second, motion by Councilmember Leonard and a second by Tricocci for the consent agenda. And everybody's for. We just want to record your vote.
Oh, okay.
Four. Okay. It's
And now-
unanimous. So now we're gonna move on.
Now we're on the. Maria?
On 7, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had pulled 7. So the reason I pulled 7 was because of the hour. Because if we're going to do it in the park, I think we should start at 6 instead of 7. It gets darker.
While we're on it, I mean, to be honest, what does everyone think about going back to Mondays? Because this Wednesday really, you know, in retrospect, you probably think about it. It's a great idea to change it, but in reality, you know, you kind of get used to the Mondays. So, I mean, does everyone else think that we should go back to Monday or keep the Wednesdays?
Elizabeth?
I first of all, I like 7 o'clock. I think it's reasonable for people, you know, that have families. I'd also like to point out that we have a lot more engagement. Maybe it's in the nature of the vote, but we have more engagement tonight than we've had in recent meetings for a while, and more attendees. So it'll be interesting to see how that flushes out. I think it's worth really testing out the Wednesday night, but I would like to keep it at 7. That's just my piece.
I agree with your piece.
Okay, I don't
Which
have a
part? The Wednesday or the 7? Isaac?
Wednesday at 7 is fine with me.
I like everything that Elizabeth Tricocci said.
I can tell you've been married a long time, Isaac.
I think Wednesdays
You
are
betcha.
working out great. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Wednesdays are working out great. There's not a backup against the weekend. The public has 5 days from Friday to Wednesday to have access to the online version of the agenda, and then they can speak to members. It seems like staff has a little more breathing room. Personally, I like it. On Saturday and Sunday are days of rest, and we don't have to be, reading our packets over the weekend. We can do it on
I
weekdays.
would, except that I
But
can't hear.
I got to tell you, I think what we need to revisit is this setup we have right now outside. I think if 5 of us are here, maybe we could spread out inside one of the rooms, because this is really very difficult. I apologize. It took us, I apologize to the public. It took us half an hour to get set up. They're just, very difficult problems. We're not a broadcasting agency used to this. So I think if we're inside, we'll be better with 7.
Well, he's fixing.
And the Wednesday, I think, is great. A Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Thursday would be great, but I think Mondays and Fridays are not good at all.
Let me address feedback here. But let me say, I don't have a problem with any of the days. Monday or Wednesday, fine with me. 6 or 7, fine with me. I don't have a problem with it. As far as the location, I think we're doing the best we can. I know it's not ideal, but we're unfortunately put here because the governor's. As a result, we don't really have any alternative. I do want to thank IT for doing everything possible to work. At the same time, the one thing I want to remind everybody is that we're going to probably, we're choosing the dates now, we're going to have to potentially be flexible.
Approval, consent agenda.
All right, so consent agenda 6, Josh, you hold.
I think
Wait, no.
Josh is still speaking.
I'm going to
Not here.
somewhat. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I think we're going to have to be somewhat
This isn't
flexible
working.
with regard to dates, even though we have help, but we may visit individual dates later on, only because due to COVID, the different travel dates potentially, as whether it be days in Tallahassee or potentially change. I just recognize we may have to alter these later on.
Just be me. Battery set? Okay. So just take
My glasses.
Well, I don't know, but other things might be done. Okay, I don't know. Stephanie, can you hear your? Okay. I don't know if she can hear us or not. So what are we, is there a motion for any way other than, or is there a second actually, I guess, Stephanie, did you make a motion to move it to?
Yeah, but after hearing the the rest of the council, we'll leave it at 7 for now. And I don't know about the Monday or Wednesday. That we need to figure out.
Okay, so we have no motions whatsoever then, right?
I mean, I moved to move 7 exactly how it was written in the agenda.
Okay.
I seconded
that.
Okay.
All those in favor?
All those in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor, we have a public comment. Do you want to?
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back. I asked.
Ms. Kennedy?
Kathleen Kennedy, 9180 West Bay Harbor Drive. I agree with Elizabeth that it should be at 7 o'clock. When family comes home and takes care of their children, they have dinner and then have the meeting at 7. And I agree with Kelly that it should be on a Wednesday. Your weekend is your weekend off.
Okay.
Anybody else, Alba?
Yes. Mrs. Newhart?
New Hut 1060 Forest. Just want to bring that council meetings. I see that you have your 10 meetings for this upcoming year. Last year, I did put a complaint into ethics and about only having not the required 10 meetings. And the results were, or her response, the attorney, Larissa M. Felix, the staff from ethics. The allegations raised are possible violations of the town of Harbor Island's charter. And the Ethics Commission.
Put this on. I'm getting too close to you. No, it's all right.
So I wish you would discuss this amongst council members or the people who wrote our town charter, the 4 councilmen. And this really did break the charter. I really would like to know what you are going to do about that. Because we have not until now, many of our the minutes for the entire year. The other thing I wanted to mention is if Commissioner Leonard is going to take it upon himself to get involved with ethics, I just want to make a point that on 2019, when I made an ethics complaint at Leonard, and I won that, by the way, because I was not given my right of a citizen's bill of rights. And Jordan Leonard, with Assistant Town Attorney Mr. Simone, wrote a very not nice letter, but it was thrown out by ethics. So I would be very careful of what Mr. Leonard is going to do with our ethics and with town citizens having the right to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank?
Yeah, thank you. In connection with Mrs. Newhut's latest ethics complaint, I attended the hearing before the Ethics Commission this morning. There were 3 allegations: one against the town council for failure to have requisite number of meetings during COVID, 2 against the town clerk and interim manager for failure to advise the council, and me for lying about it. And all those allegations were found to have no legal cause and were dismissed today.
Okay.
And I'd like to make a comment since Mrs. Newhut was so gracious to bring my name into it. For the record, in the over 10 years that I've served on this council, there has never once been any allegation ever made against me that has ever been sustained where there was even the chance that there was any type of ethical issue. As everyone knows that's involved in the town government, to make an allegation is one thing, but for it to actually get to the stage where they actually investigate, where it goes before the Ethics Commission, it needs to have some level of substance. And there's not ever been a single allegation that's ever risen to that level. Anyone can make an allegation, but that doesn't mean that it's true. And not a single allegation has ever been sustained to the extent where it actually ever even went to the Ethics Commission. So, you know, with all due respect, that's just talk. Thank you. And to be honest, when you see the ethics ordinance that comes up and you look at what I've proposed, I'm the only person in the last decade that's actually proposed an ethics ordinance for the town of Bay Harbor Islands. So thank you very much.
Stephanie, let's move on. Stephanie, are you there?
I'm going home. This is not for my nerves.
Okay, I don't know.
Josh, I need you to take over. We're having technical difficulties.
No problem. Okay, let's number 15.
Yeah, we're on number 9.
No, we're not. We're on 15.
We have not.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did the consent agenda. The first item
Right.
is 15.
We're all the way through. We're through. Maria, can you read? Can you read it?
Stop. Hold on. You take this. I'll go over
Okay,
there.
what number are we on?
15.
I'm sorry. Let's see.
Great.
Okay, I'm sorry, number 15. Consideration approval of an ordinance on first reading, providing for local implementation of the mandatory year-round landscape irrigation conservation measures rule of the South Florida Water Management District. Do you read the ordinance?
An ordinance of the town of Bay Harbor Islands, Florida, providing for local implementation of the mandatory year-round landscaping irrigation conservation measures rule of the South Florida Water Management District, 40E-40 FAC, providing definitions, providing for applicability of the ordinance, providing for landscape irrigation schedule, providing for exceptions of the landscape irrigation schedule, providing for requirement to operate technology that inhibit specific day of the week limitations, providing for enforcement of the ordinance, providing for penalties for violations of the ordinance, providing for codification of the ordinance, providing for the repeal of all conflicting ordinance, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
I'll move it.
Is there a
Do we
second?
have a second?
Second for discussion.
Okay. Is there public comment? Do public comment first.
Thanks.
We have public comment. Do you want to take the public comment, Josh? Mrs. Kennedy?
Yes, thank you. Kathleen Kennedy, 9180 West Bay Harbor Drive. I would, on behalf of all the condos on 92nd Street, I would like to thank Maria Lansky for the beautiful flowers that we have on our street. Finally, it's beautiful. I suggest that the council come and look at the beautiful flowers that are on our outlet on 92nd Street. Maria, thank you. You're welcome.
No further comment, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, so we need number 16.
Well, no, is any?
Wait, we need to vote on it. Hold on.
Is there any discussion?
Call vote.
Councilmember Yaffe,
4.
Councilmember Tricoche,
4.
Councilmember Salver,
4.
Councilmember Reed,
4.
Councilmember Leonard,
4.
Vice Mayor Fuller,
4.
Mayor Bruder.
4.
It's unanimous.
Okay, item number 16.
If I could, Madam Mayor, on this
Yes.
item,
Let me read the title. I think that Maria is having some issues. Frank,
Okay,
if you- let me interject. Consideration and approval of the 2020-2021 collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Dade County Police Benevolent Association, PBA. Go ahead, Frank.
great, thank you. So as you know, John Cannell, who is a police officer for a very long period of time, handles police matters on a regular basis and is an expert in this area. When this was discussed, neither John nor I had an opportunity to review it. We've gone to them to discuss it. John certainly had some potential revisions to it. So we're asking, as your counsel, not to approve this so that we can go back to Mr. Braverman and his team to discuss and further negotiate this contract before it comes and is approved by the town council.
Okay. Anybody oppose that?
Mayor, we do have public comment for Mr. Braverman.
Okay.
Mr. Braverman, if you could please state your full name and address for the record.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. My name is Michael Braverman. I'm Special Labor Counsel for the Dade County Police Benevolent Association. I represent the law enforcement officers in the rank of officer, sergeant, lieutenant with the town of Bay Harbor Islands. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm appearing here today a little bit taken aback by some of the things that have happened. And I have to tell you that the PBA, and specifically myself, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Madam Manager, who's just getting involved in this, I've personally been involved in negotiating the Bay Harbor Islands collective bargaining agreement for the better part of 20 years. I have met with every manager and have gone through this negotiation session better than 6 times. I want you to know that Mayor Bruder and I'm here. The PBA sat down with, at the time, the acting city manager. We negotiated in good faith, and I believe that we reached a tentative agreement. I've had conversations with Mr. Cannell, and unfortunately, I don't believe the town has the ability to take a redo because someone wasn't contacted. The law is very clear. When you have a chief negotiator come to the collective bargaining table, and reach a tentative agreement with me, there is a provision of Chapter 447 that requires that the parties, and it's point 309 for council, requires that the parties take that agreement back and have it ratified by their respective clients. The PBA did this in a timely manner. Our bargaining unit ratified the agreement. The collective bargaining agreement that's before you is a one-year agreement. Frankly, 3/4 of the term of this agreement is already passed. The law enforcement officers that work for the town of Bay Harbor Islands have, throughout this pandemic and throughout the time that we're talking about that's covered by this collective bargaining agreement, have selfishly and at many times putting their own personal health at risk, have continued to protect you, your constituents, and the visitors to the town of Bay Harbor Islands. We think that it's inappropriate at this point for there to be a renegotiation. This contract will be up for negotiation again in the spring. And frankly, the increases that are being requested are nominal. The collective bargaining agreement that's been reached is really a one-year agreement that's being offered and was approved so that we could get on to have another full session after COVID. But I will tell you that just before you guys took up this item, obviously there was a number of items, and Commissioner Leonard, you were involved in approving $75,000 that Vice Mayor Fuller suggested we spend on a lobbyist. I would suggest that amount of money, if even that much, will fulfill the requests or the promise raises, and we could move on with this matter. Madam Manager, I certainly am not happy to have to meet you in these regards. I know that you have had a long career in being a manager in other cities, and that you probably would have had a great relationship with us right from the beginning had we have had an opportunity to sit down and speak to you. But at this point, it is our position that the city needs to go ahead and approve this agreement, and we can move on and have further negotiations for a subsequent agreement. This agreement is for the term of literally October 1st, 2020 till September 30th, 21. And so therefore, you have to understand this agreement is the better part of the year gone already. And if there is anything else that I can add, I'll be happy to do that. But the PBA and the then chief negotiator for the town, which we obviously dealt with in good faith, we reached an agreement. So thank you. And again, I request you approve the item.
Okay, thank you. Frank?
Sure. Never has this council been a rubber stamp. There's nothing that I am aware of, including that statute, that requires you to be a rubber stamp. And I will turn to John, who's the expert, more so than I am.
I have had conversation with Michael, and we have discussed this. As Frank said, this contract was never presented to myself, Frank, or any other council, as far as I'm aware. I would just say that ultimately the statute that council referenced requires that the proposed collective bargaining agreement be ratified by a vote, or it has to come for a vote. So that's why our recommendation is that the council has to make a determination whether or not they're going to accept or reject it. But simply the statute provides that in the event that the collective bargaining agreement is not ratified by the council, then it would simply revert back to negotiations, which is ultimately where we think that we should be, and then begin a good faith negotiation and hopefully quickly have a collective bargaining agreement that's favorable to the town and to the officers.
I have a question. What's the fiscal impact for the agreement? How much money?
As far as a dollar amount, there wasn't a huge dollar amount. Some of the hours, mandatory overtime, I think there's an additional hour here or there. I think it was more issues regarding policies. And I think if you look at the agenda, the town manager had marked up the agenda with some of the proposed changes that we thought should be made. Those are the major issues. As far as I think the contract and the collective bargaining agreement, it's not so much a dollar amount as to language and other issues inside the contract.
All right.
We have public comment here.
Okay, let public comment go ahead. I'll go after.
Who do we have?
Ms.
Kathleen
Kennedy.
Ms. Kennedy seems to be muted.
Yes, thank you. Kathleen Kennedy, 9180 West Bay Harbor Drive. As a mother of an ex-police officer for 23 years, I support whatever the city manager is recommending for our police department. She must have reasons for it, I don't know. But Simone, I don't always agree with you, but you are correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Kelly?
Well, I'm a little confused because let's go back to the beginning. We had an acting manager, Marlene Siegel, and she was authorized to negotiate with the union.
Thank you.
I can tell you at the time, I'm pretty sure we were all aware of it, right? We all knew that what was going on, so we didn't have any objection then. And at the time, I remember her telling me that she was going for a 1-year contract rather than a 3-year, which would be preferable to both the town and the union. But, you know, they negotiated the 1 year. It will be effective October 1st. It'll be retroactive. We agreed to that even the last time we met when we deferred it. So if it didn't get to legal, I'm curious why between October and now, Mr. Simone, you didn't bring to us your concerns about the contract. We had the contract in October at the October meeting. Mr. Simone?
Sure. So as soon as the contract was presented to us, well, John, who's the expert, reviewed it and had a lot of concerns. We brought that to the town manager's attention. We actually, John went to Mr. Braverman, and we were told that there would be no negotiation until the town council considered the issue. We were ready, willing, and able to have those discussions, wanted to have the discussions, and were rebuffed. And therefore, it has to come before you in order for us to go back to the drawing board with them. It had to come before you. So that is what they've demanded. We've been at the table. We've been dancing in the middle of the dance floor by ourselves, and we had hoped to have engagement. So we're asking you to not approve this so we can continue to engage. And quite honestly, we want an agreement that's fair for the town, fair for the officers, and offers long-term security for all parties. We're not looking to do anything other than that.
Can you hear me? For the record, I lost your audio. I can hear from Josh's computer. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, if you have concerns, and I realize that you probably don't want to discuss them here in the open because this is collective bargaining, but it seems to me like this could have been accomplished by conversations, at least with the council, if the union didn't want to talk to you. We have a wage increase that we budgeted for 1 year. We have a hazard pay that is reimbursable by the CARES Act, right, the FEMA one, and then a couple other nominal features in here, overtime, shooting at the range, and a couple policies. So I would have been prepared to vote yes and go forward with this. I think it was done in good faith. It was ratified, I understand, 100% of our officers ratified it. Is that true?
Yes.
Mr. Braverman, okay, Manager Lasday confirm that. So I really think that this is a travesty. I think it's a shame. And I don't have a good explanation from anyone why we're at this point right now.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd like to, sorry, you're gonna
Yeah,
say?
I would say that, look, you have a town manager now that's highly engaged with us. We're on speed dial with her, probably speak with the town manager a couple times a day, if not more. And it's a wonderful relationship. It's our duty as your lawyer, when we get something, especially with John, who's an expert. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. And that's why John's here. He's been an excellent asset to the town. And therefore, when he brings, sorry, and when he brings up an issue, we have to address it with the council, and we have to address it in a manner that's in the best interest of the town, and not close our eyes or not bring it to your attention.
I'll just say that I'm going to defer to our legal counsel. It's very disturbing that there was negotiations that took place that didn't consult our legal counsel at all. From my conversations with Frank and with the manager, the idea that that they weren't even consulted is really disturbing. I will say for the record, I know Mike Braverman. I've known Mike for over 15 years. I can tell you as a professional administrator myself, I've negotiated a PBA agreement on behalf of a city where Mike was, the negotiator for PBA. He's a straight shooter and honorable guy. And when he comes to the table and says that he's negotiating in good faith, I 100% take him for his word. And I've known him a long time to be able to say that. So as concerned as I am, I'm looking forward in the immediate future for our administration to bring back an agreement and see what the changes are and to see, that we can get this taken care of. And as soon as we pass a 1-year agreement, I would strongly encourage our management to pass for the next agreement, a multi-year agreement. I know when I first got on the council, we used to always be retroing agreements, and it took us a while to the point where Mr. Wasson was manager that we finally got ahead of ourselves. I don't want to ever go back to the fact of having agreements being retroed and just say chalking this up to coronavirus and be a one-time thing.
I can tell you that as a union member for 23 years and having sat on many collective bargaining teams, that it's very common that the contracts are not settled until after the fact. And I worked under, without a contract for up to 2 years. It's not desirable, but this whole thing could have been avoided. We should have been contacted, and we'd be voting on it right now. And it's very unsettling to me.
Okay, I would like to speak. Who's running the meeting? Marie, you, Stephanie, or Josh?
Yes.
Anyhow.
Together.
First of all, Frank, can you respond to my question well, I haven't asked it yet, but, Mike Braverman said that we really have no choice in this matter, which I'm presuming is a false statement. Is that a correct assumption?
I wouldn't say it's a false statement, but I would say it needed to be addressed by the town council, so that it's either approved or alternatively it's not approved, so that we can go back and discuss some finer points on this deal.
Well, being in my 6th term here, I remember, regardless of who was negotiating the contract always came back to the council poured through all the elements of the contract. And if there was some discomfort on any of the provisions in the contract, the council would discuss it. And if they wanted to change it, they would send it back and not approve it. So, I weight the recommendation of the staff very, very heavily. As much, I've always supported, our men in blue. I think they do a fantastic job. But if our city manager is recommending that we deny this contract, I will absolutely, take that recommendation.
Let me ask what they were all, but is there a motion?
There's no motion.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure why we're having a discussion. I hate to say that. I mean, I'm not, either way, I'm just saying by procedure, we would have to have a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion to accept this contract.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
We've been discussing it. Is there
I know,
anybody
but
else?
for formality,
understand.
I tend to agree with what Isaac said. I mean, I remember years ago being on a committee with Ron Wasson and another council member negotiating police contracts, and I think Mr. Braverman was involved, or maybe somebody else on behalf of the union. But it always came before the council, and we would, in essence, accept the recommendation of the manager or
Bob, if you could please move back. We're having some echoing.
I'm just trying to avoid the rain, but
Oh, sorry.
but in any event, I'm going to go with the recommendation of our council at this point.
Okay, anybody else?
Would you like me to take a poll vote?
I don't know.
You have to take a vote.
We have to take a vote. So why don't we just do
The motion on the table right now is to accept the contract,
For discussion.
Okay,
and Yaffe seconded.
okay. All those in favor of the contract, say aye.
It's a poll, isn't it?
Does it have to be a poll?
Doesn't have to.
No.
Doesn't require a poll vote.
No. All those against it?
Count me as for it.
Take a poll vote so we figure this out.
Councilmember Yaffe,
Against.
Councilmember Tricoche,
Against.
Councilmember Salver,
Against.
Councilmember Reed. For. Councilmember Leonard.
For.
Vice Mayor Fuller.
Against.
Mayor Bruder.
For.
And it fails. 4-3.
Next.
Next.
Item number 17.
Consideration and approval of a proposal provided by Lakes Engineering in the amount of $60,013 for construction, engineering, and inspection services related to the repairs for the utility line support C channel on the Indian Creek Bridge.
I move it.
Second.
Okay, anybody have any questions? No? Poll vote.
Councilmember Yaffe,
For.
Councilmember Tricoche,
For.
Councilmember Leonard.
For.
Oh, Councilmember Salver,
For.
Councilmember Reed. For. Vice Mayor Fuller.
For.
Mayor Bruder.
For.
It's unanimous.
Number 18.
Consideration and approval of a proposal provided by Lakes Engineering in the amount of $27,540 for engineering and consulting services for the emergency repairs of the damaged Florida Power and Light conduit and a power line located on the north side of the Inner Waterway Bridge.
I'll move it.
Second. Any discussion? No? Poll vote.
Have a public comment, Mayor.
Okay.
Ms. Kennedy, if you could please state your name and address.
Yes, Kathleen Kennedy, 9180 West Bay Harbor Drive. The most beautiful building in our town, the garage, has the lights, the beautiful lights that I think we got a reward for that beautiful building. All of the beautiful lights outside are almost out. I'm asking for that you fix this beautiful building back to its originality, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
No, that is all the
Okay.
public comment.
Poll vote.
Councilmember Yaffe,
4.
Councilmember Tricoche,
4.
Councilmember Salver,
4.
Councilmember Reed,
4.
Councilmember Leonard,
4.
Vice Mayor Fuller,
4.
Mayor Bruder.
4.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Number 19, please.
Consideration approval of a proposal by Lakes Engineering in the amount of $308,100 for engineering consulting services for the rehabilitation of the Intercoastal Waterway Bridge to address the repairs as provided in the inspection report provided by Marlin Engineering.
I'll move it.
Second.
The second by Mayor.
I seconded it.
Mayor seconded first, Bob.
I moved it
There's
and
no
Bob
public
seconded.
comment.
Audio problems.
Oh.
It's fine. No public comment.
Okay, can I ask how much the entire project is going to be? It wasn't very clear from all the notes in the report. I just want to know if the engineering is 308 grand, how much are we talking about spending on this?
We won't know until we get the bids. And we can always move the project to October 1st and put it in the next budget for next fiscal year, depending upon what the bids come in at.
Councilmember Yaffe? Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say 308 grand sounds very, very high because that's a small, it's a pretty small bridge. And it just sounds like that is just a very high amount for engineering services. Am I missing something?
I can
agree with that.
Doug? Doug's here. Doug's here.
Let me bring Doug on.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Doug's on it.
Mayor, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Earlier today, I had a conversation with Doug and Maria about exactly at the cost, and they were going to reach out and see if they could maybe reduce, because I find it to be expensive also. So Doug?
If you can hear me, I did send an email to Lakes and I asked them to sharpen their pencil and get that number down. We would prefer it to be almost $50,000 less, and they're going to consider that and get back to us.
Okay, so I'm assuming, Isaac, what is your pleasure?
My pleasure is that scares the crap out of me when, when Doug, goes to them and says, sounds high, and they knock off 50 grand, at first blush. I mean, I think we really need to, cast our bait again to figure out what the engineering costs really should be. I'm a little bit, honestly, I'm a little bit concerned.
We could try to get some more quotes. Is that possible, Doug?
I can ask other engineering firms that are under contract with us to do the same thing.
Okay. And we could bring this back in February.
Yeah, that's what I was going to recommend.
Yes.
I think that's a good idea. Also, I think that, Maria, you should think about hiring our own engineer with all these projects coming on board. I think it would behoove us to have we need an engineer. Do you agree?
For technical, I'm just going to ask whoever made the motion to withdraw the motion.
Yeah, they would need to either withdraw it.
I'll withdraw it.
Thanks.
Okay.
I'll bring it back.
Okay, so we'll bring back also a budget amendment to add the town engineer position because that position was removed from the budget for the February agenda.
I mean, if you guys look very closely, we have so much engineering that I think it would behoove us to have our own engineer kind of instead of. So
Well, also keep in mind that the engineering position was paid out of the causeway funds because the primary purpose was for the causeway. So it shouldn't really impact the general fund at all. So it shouldn't be very difficult to actually put that position in if the council so choose.
Well, okay, so let's bring that, Maria, next month, and you'll, start advertising and see, does anybody have any reason that they would not agree to hiring our own engineer?
Well, I would just like to know that if we hire an engineer, that he or she is schooled in, sufficient disciplines to cover all these things. Because I remember when we had a town engineer, we were still going outside as well. So unless we know that whoever we're hiring can do all the work that we're, approving this evening or coming back on February, then I'm not sure that I would support a town engineer.
I think the engineer would be more to be oversight of all of the different projects. He would, I don't know if you'd get one engineer who could do the plans for all of these different projects.
Right.
They're
I
all
think
different.
I think it's more a conversation for next month as well, because we're going to be talking about a few things when we deal with the engineer, including liability and everything else. So let's deal with that next month.
Okay, that's fine.
Agreed.
Okay, so we are deferring number
19.
19, number 20. No, we
Oh.
did 19.
No, that's what we just talked
No.
about.
That's what we just.
Right.
Okay, number 20.
Right.
Number,
Okay.
yeah.
Consideration approval of proposal from KCI Technology in the amount of $127,950 to develop a town-wide stormwater master plan.
I'll move it.
Second. Any discussion? Anybody from any public comments?
No public comment.
Okay, whole vote.
Councilmember Yaffe,
4.
Councilmember Tricoche,
4.
Councilmember Salver,
4.
Councilmember Reed,
4.
Councilmember Leonard,
4.
Vice Mayor Fuller,
4.
Mayor Bruder.
4.
It's unanimous.
Okay,
Okay.
next.
21.
Consideration approval of a proposal from Kimley Horn Engineering in the amount of $217,500 to provide professional services to design, permit, and certify a plus or minus 200 linear feet of a proposed 18-inch gravity sewer extension from Bay Harbor Terrace to the town's existing lift station. This upgrade is mandatory to be in compliance with Durham standards to accept 1177 King Concourse Project's new sewer line.
I'll move it.
Second.
Can we get Doug to negotiate with them downward also? Because 200, honestly, for 200 feet of sewer line, 217 grand sounds like a lot of money to me. I don't know if I'm just, woke up on my cheap side of the bed, but 217 grand for a project
If
this
we could-
magnitude sounds high. And I know that and I know, Maria, that we're in a hurry to get this approved, but
Right.
again, this sounds like a lot of money for not a big project.
Can we get approval up to a certain dollar amount then? Or do you want us to bring this back in February?
We can approve it and see if she can negotiate a lower amount. So if we award it to Kimley Horn, she can negotiate a lower amount, but we can authorize the amount and have her negotiate. She can do that.
Did we choose Kimley Horn as the result of some type of bid process, or like how did we arrive hiring Kimley Horn for this particular project and then Lake Engineering for the other
Is
project?
Doug on the phone?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear
Doug,
me?
can you answer that?
Yeah. We chose Kimley Horn because they're deeply involved in the design of the 18-inch sanitary sewer for 1177. To us, it made sense to go back to them to give us the design. And you got to remember that this is all inclusive, from design to request for proposal, pre and post bid services, and actually supervising the construction.
Just out of curiosity, didn't we negotiate? Aren't they paying? There was a payment in regards to this. In regards to actually doing this work, they actually paid us to move the line. Did they not, Frank?
No.
We're going to
No.
be trying to get a grant money for the line.
No, when we gave them the easement, there was a payment of monies, and that included the agreement that we were going to move the line and expand it.
That's a different part of the line.
Right.
There's a section of the line that they have to do, and there's a section that we have to do our part.
Right.
He needs to step.
And I'm sure, and I'm presuming that we have no idea how much this project is going to cost all in.
Isaac, I contacted Kimley Horn last week and every day this week, text messages, voicemails, and I could not get the engineer to respond to me.
Well, then I'm glad we're giving them 200 grand now.
I'm going to suggest that we dive a little bit deeper and defer this till next month.
I'm also going to ask that we don't give them that thing until they respond to your questions.
Right.
Yeah, but just remember that we are obligated to do this, and that the person that the company that we obligated ourselves to, they're doing their end, and they cannot do their end until we do ours. So whatever we're going to do, so we need to figure this out.
They said they'll be shovel ready by June.
Well, we have a responsibility to make sure that we're paying an appropriate price, regardless of our relationship with 1177. So I don't have a problem deferring this until February in order to make sure that we have all the information we need and for them to respond to communication.
Can we have it? Can we have it where we authorize the manager to negotiate, and if she feels comfortable that this is the best price she can get, then she move forward, and if not, then she has the ability to move it to the next meeting. I mean, I have faith that the manager can decide as a professional whether or not we can do a better price, or if this is what it is. I mean, if we can authorize her, she can take that responsibility.
Jordan, I have with that except one thing. I don't want to give them a penny until they respond. I think before anything else, we have to have the communication back.
Can I work on this week, and I'll mention it in my manager's report, and I'll call each of you to give you the update, and then if you're comfortable with it, then we'll move forward.
Well, we would have to approve it
now with the funds. I think that's the thing, but we'll leave it in your hands. At least that's what I would do. But again, I want to make sure they're communicating with you.
Well, yeah, but we don't know. In these days, when someone doesn't respond, they could have COVID. We don't know. So we don't know.
Also, don't send them a $200,000 check until they respond.
Well,
right.
I agree, and that's why.
This is a national company. Kimley
Right,
Horn
they're
is
a
a
very
national
large
company.
company. There's somebody there who can respond.
Right, it's like like as the whole store has the flow.
Well, we have a motion, so.
What is exactly the motion right now? The motion.
Well, okay, so I would amend it that we authorize the manager to have the ability to approve, to move forward, and obviously to negotiate to see if she can get a better price, and to use her professional judgment to either move forward or not to move forward, and if so, not to move forward, to bring it back the next month. But she can have the ability to decide, because we would authorize her to do so.
Yeah, but I would make a contingent upon responding to Doug.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%.
And just so the record is clear, you're authorizing an amount certain, correct?
Up to yes.
Yeah, up into the 217,500, but no, obviously no more. But hopefully she can get it reduced.
Correct.
Right.
And I will provide an update. I will call each council member before final decisions made.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
That was an amended motion. Is there a second?
Yeah, I seconded it.
Okay. Did I lose Elizabeth? Oh, there she is. Okay. Is this a poll vote?
Yes. Councilmember Yaffe? Oh, wait, one more. We have public comment, Mayor, if you wanted to.
Okay, that's fine.
Ms. Silver.
Linda, you have to take off mute.
I did. Uh, Former Mayor Linda Silver, 1231 95 Street, Bay Harbor Islands, Florida. For 16 years, I worked with the Transportation Trust and chaired it for Miami-Dade County. Kimley Horn was fantastic at everything they did. We could not be happier with this company. I certainly hope you let them go ahead because they were perfect at everything they accomplished. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, Alba?
No, that's,
Okay, let's do a poll vote.
give me just a second. Councilmember Yapi,
Or
Councilmember Tricoche,
4.
Councilmember Salver,
Against.
Councilmember Reed,
4.
Councilmember Leonard,
4.
Vice Mayor Fuller,
4.
Mayor Bruder.
4.
It passes.
Okay, number 22.
Consideration and approval of a request from One King Concourse LLC for extension of time to submit the building permit for project to be located at 9551 East Bay Harbor Drive.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it passes. Number 23, and I think Isaac, you brought this item to the,
I think this has been an item that we've
Want
been
me to read
talking
it?
about for a while.
Read it?
Yeah.
Discussion and possible action regarding the installation of automatic vehicle locating service, AVLS/GPS devices for all town vehicles.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
okay. Any discussion?
Well,
Any
what-
public comment?
We have to either pick a company or come
We have
back, right?
public comments.
Are we allowing Maria to pick the company or are we picking the company?
I don't know.
Is this the one that we had to go back out to bid on?
Yes, it was 5.5 years ago from June of 2015.
So then we can't do this tonight anyway.
So we have to defer this.
Right.
Why do we have to defer it?
Okay, so let's
Wait,
defer.
No, why do we have to defer it?
Because it has to go out to bid.
Yeah,
Get out to bid. There's 3. We have 3 bids in the packet.
There are 3 estimates.
Thank you.
This is for discussion purposes, we just want to give you an idea of the cost. If we'd like to get, staff would like direction as to whether or not you want us to go to a board review process. Sent over
Yeah, I'm waiting.
20,000.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you were saying, Maria. Can you say that again, please?
Because the amount is going to be exceeding over $20,000, staff right now just provided estimates. And if you're amenable to doing this GPS and you're noting the rough estimate of pricing, then staff would like to formally go to bid and bring this on the February agenda.
Yeah, I'd like them to go out to bid.
So we're going
Doesn't
to
that pose a problem that you already requested bids and now you got to put it out the bid again?
the police officers, police department got these estimates. But from what I understand, if we do it for more than 1 year, then we would have to go to bid. If you want to just do a commitment of 1 year and it's under 20,000, then you don't have the bid requirement.
So let's do that.
Can Frank chime in on that?
Frank, can we do a year and then just continue on after that?
Yes,
go to
you
bid?
could, depending upon the contract. And also, anytime you go out to bid, you could always rescind your bid and rebid it out. But under I think the issue is the procurement, and certainly you're within those bounds.
So I think we should just move forward.
Just move forward. Yeah.
I think we should.
Yeah, I think If the question is whether we need it or not, we definitely agree that we need this equipment, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, public comment before we?
Yes. Ms. Kennedy?
Yes, thank you. My name is Kathleen Kennedy at 9180 West Bay Harbor Drive. This is probably one of the most important items on the agenda because of the crime rate in Bay Harbor Islands recently regarding cars being stolen, things taken out of cars, blah, blah, blah. So I think that you should take this to bed, put tracks under every police car so that they're staying out of people's houses, council people's houses, and they're on the streets working for the citizens of Bay Harbor Islands.
Okay, thank you. So,
We have one more, Mayor.
okay,
Mr. John Corral.
Mr. Corral, if you could please say your name and address for the record, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, first and foremost, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy
Glad
New
to see all your faces, even if it's on video. When this item came up several years ago, I brought it to the council's attention that the technology being proposed today would be obsolete. It was 2G, 2.5G, and for those of you who don't know me,
Excuse me, Mr. Corral, if you could please state your address for the record.
apologies, Alba, 9660 West Bay Harbor Drive, Penthouse A.
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, for the record, I am a subject matter expert, and I've deployed communication services in NASA and inside the White House. I've deployed fleets the size of Ryder and Federal Express, and I'm an expert in this area, retired. The original proposal that was put in front of the council was all of a sudden, after I brought these issues to light, that some of the council and our former manager were pushing this forward. I reached out, customer service didn't respond. I said, guys, this is not good. Anyways, put that behind us. Let's move forward. We should have had this in place 5 years ago. On another point, I was later contacted by Miami-Dade and some investigators regarding this matter, but that's all behind us. Curtis has been amazing. He's reached out to me for some help and guidance on this, and I really want to help because I am an expert in this area. The bids we have in front of us, first and foremost, the data that you guys are requiring is minimal. We can do a lot more. AT&T FirstNet, hands down, they provide preferred coverage and preferred network access to first responders. They'll give that benefit to the city. So a company which we did not look at and I did not see on the bid request because 40 or 50 devices is way too small. Curtis and council, please look at a company called Geotab. They are the industry leaders. They they have 60,000 vehicles just in New York. They do most, I'm going to say 70% of the municipalities and governments, not just in the States, but look at them. And if there's anything I can do to help, John, I know you're new here, let me know. I definitely know networks, and none of the devices on the quotes that are here consider anything called Cat M1. Cat M1 is a technology different than 5G because 5G is not deployed as widely, and it doesn't consider NB-IoT, which is narrowband, which operates on the 1200, 1900, and 2100 megahertz frequency on B-band 1 and B-band 2C, which are, we have antennas here in our municipality deployed on those frequencies. So I can help here. Just reach out to me. Janice, John, I can help with this process. Fleet Complete is a reseller of AT&T, good company. Verizon, solid company. The other vendor, I don't know them, and they're just going to package and bundle somebody else's services and charge us more for them. Let's go directly to GeoTab. Let's go directly to AT&T, and let's get on FirstNet. And again, retired, I now work for Telefonica out of Europe. So I'm a consulting basis, but you guys are my friends and my neighbors. And what we were going to do in the past was a total disaster. Let me
Okay,
help.
so-
Want my help?
Thank you so much, John. So after hearing what John had to say, I suggest that we go with AT&T for 1 year, and then we reevaluate after the first year.
Well, you can't, because unfortunately the AT&T requires a 3-year contract. So legally that's not an option. You can only choose, from my understanding, you
All
can
right,
only
so then
choose Trackstar or
Verizon.
Verizon.
So
Well,
then,
I
John-
want to ask the manager, what does she recommend? Because I usually, when you have a bid, the staff makes an actual recommendation. To be honest,
We checked
Yeah.
with IT, and our police chief checked with IT. He said the most compatible and service might be with
have one-
AT&T. But
who? I'm sorry.
our IT and police chief mentioned that the best service may possibly be AT&T, because that's what we have, AT&T FirstNet. It's probably the most compatible.
The most expensive one is your recommendation.
That is what I'm told by the IT department and our police chief, that is one, it may be the best service, but the others may work. I don't know. That's why I'm suggesting if we don't go with them, we just do a 1-year contract. If you want to do something else, and then we can go to bid.
I'd rather put it out. I mean, it seems like to me there seems to be issues, and Mr. Corral says that he was discussing it with the police department in regards to questions and stuff. Mr. Corral obviously bid on it the last time. So I mean, to be honest, I think if we're going to do a bid, it needs to be something that's not you know, something
Jordan,
that is a real bid.
I don't think that's true. John did not
He just
bid
said.
the last
He said
No.
he spoke to Lieutenant Johnson. He said it.
No,
He
no.
just
He said
I
that
think
he
you're
was
confused.
going that he reached out to him and he was helping him, and that
Yeah, he was helping him.
Yeah, he's not a bidder. He was
He's
just
not
kind
a
of
bidder.
consulting for us as an advocate.
I didn't say it here, so
No,
all right. Well, I would recommend that we actually put it out to bid where we have better bids than this. I mean, you're telling me you're recommending the most expensive one, and it's not on the agenda. To be honest, usually when you do a bid, you find the cheapest price or the best use. It doesn't explain anything why one is better than the other. It doesn't say it in here. So I mean,
I agree with you, Jordan. And I asked tonight our police chief and IT department. I will get more information for you, and I will bring this back on the
Okay.
February agenda, and we will go to bid.
All right,
But
thank you.
I appreciate your comments, and as well as our residents' comments.
Okay, so we're going to withdraw.
Move to adjourn.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Good night,
Aye.
everybody.
Aye.